Welcome back to a continuation of my witch doll. I showed part of my face process in my last video, and now I'm just getting back to where I'm thinking about how I'd like to costume this. She's kind of a partial doll. She's has no legs, if you remember. She's just like a stump torso at this point. I can't even call her a stump doll because generally in a stump doll the stump is long enough to actually be part of the base of the body, so it does look like it has legs. It just, in height, it just doesn't. So this is really just a half doll. Right now what I'm doing is I found this purple lace out in my garage because I have craft stuff everywhere. And it's just a strip of lace, and I think it was given to me a long time ago, and it came off of something else because you can see the tulle that it's attached to, and it's old, so it has a whole bunch of fibers. And I cut a piece off of this, and I took a bunch of the fiber and actually cut it off. So, but I didn't throw that away because I was thinking that might look kind of cool. Maybe if I needle felt her hair, putting it into her hair someplace. So anyway, I took a piece of this purple lace and I took some rather stiff black tulle. This you can buy by the yard, so I have no idea. I probably bought a yard or two of it a long time ago. So I took some of this and I cut a strip off it. And what I've done is I've taken the lace that I cut the fibers off, the old lace, and I attached it to a strip of the black tulle. I've just got it pinned so far. And what I'm going to do is try to use my sewing machine and sew right down the center of it. And then I'm going to gather it and maybe, I don't know if I'll fold it in half or what I'll do. And this will become a collar or a ruffle around her neck. And that's a starting point for me. I don't always start at the same place, and sometimes it's something that might look kind of funny at first as a ruffle around her neck when the rest of her has nothing. But that just means that I'm building out from a foundation of this collar. So let me go sew this together and we'll see where we go from there. I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm back and I got all that lace sewn onto the tulle. I just did a regular sewing stitch in the middle of the tulle and the lace, and I did it from one end until the other. I did do a back stitch and knot both ends. Now from there I could have also done a basting stitch and pulled one of the threads to gather this into, well, actually it's called ruching. But what I'm going to do is I'm just using regular, find the frame, sewing weight thread, and this happens to be in purple, which is fortunate, I guess. And what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to do a loose running stitch down the middle on top of my, or near, I'm just going to cut that thread off, near my original stitch, and then I'm going to gather this and use it as a collar on my witch. So I'm going to come, I'm trying to decide how I'm going to do this. I guess I'll do this coming up from the back. I do have a knot in my thread, but it may not be enough to hold it in the tulle. Let's see, maybe I should bring it in a little bit closer for this. Bear with me. Okay. So I came up and I have a knot in the back. I'm not pulling this thread too hard because this is only tulle and lace, so that knot could just pull right through. So what I'm going to do is take a couple of quick little running stitches, trying not to snag all this open work, just to catch this edge so I don't wind up just pulling the thread out at the end. And now I'm going to just start doing a really long running stitch. I know this is hard to see and I apologize. Down the entire length of this lace and tulle. Let's see, so what I do is I can hold it in my hand and I actually just feed the lace and the tulle onto the needle a few times, and then I just take the needle and pull it through, being careful not to, knot or snag the thread as I pull it through. And these can be really big stitches. They don't have to be anything neat. I'm just aiming for that center line that I stitched originally, and you will see that as I go through this and I pull the thread, everything that I had out there is going to pinch up into a pleated piece. And I intend to use that as her collar. So I'm just going to try to do this as quickly as I can without knotting my thread all up and making a mess. And this is a very long piece. Her neck isn't that big, but this allows me to create fullness and really give the doll some dimension. So I'm coming to the end, and you can see this is nothing spectacular or spectacularly difficult as far as sewing goes. It is truly just a running stitch, a long basting stitch. Now I'm going back just to make sure that I didn't mess any of it up. That's being used just to pull this all together. Now I'm not going to knot this end because I want to be able to not only have this all gathered like this, and you can see it's now become a very short piece, and it could even be smaller. But now what I want to do is I want to pull my witch back in, and I want to lay this on her. Now see, it goes up around her mouth, and I don't want that. Now this is the good side, and this is the wrong side, because that, well, at least right now that's the wrong side. I don't know, maybe I want it to be primarily black. If I do, when I make this, I will fold it towards the middle and have the black on the outside to be part of her collar, like this. Or if I want it to be more purple, I would fold the purple to the outside and put it more like this. And I actually think I like that better because it gives a little bit more color to her collar. The tricky part, or if you want to call it tricky, is actually taking this wad of tulle and lace, making it fold, and at the same time fit around the witch's neck. And what I'm going to do to start with is I'm going to take a pin and I'm going to kind of jab it into her and come through at an angle so that the pin won't pull back out, and kind of hold it there and take a look at her and make sure, I mean, I can go in and, oops, sorry, I'm really close right now, and cut some of this down to make it fit better. And this could actually even come down and be part of the top of her outfit when I'm done. I have lots of options using this. So right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take more of my pins. I'm going to look for more of these quilting pins that have the flower tops that are easier to find once I get them hidden, for lack of a better word, inside this tulle and lace. So I'll bring this one around. This is kind of where I'm fortunate to be somewhat ambidextrous, because right now I'm using my left hand to do my right hand's job. And remember, I still have, oops, sorry, I still have this thread too that I've now managed to tangle all up in here, which you definitely don't want to do, because I do want to be able to do more with this. Okay, I'm going to take this pin back out because I picked the thread up in it. And now put it back in here. Okay. And move my thread, my working thread that's in my lace and tulle, out of the way, because right now I need to pull this tight again because the end of it is kind of loosened up, and I do want it to be consistent all the way around the neck. Now you're looking at the back of the doll. This is the knots where some of the needle sculpting from her face came through. And I will take another quilting pin and hold this piece right here. Okay, and then I have to come over to this side. Well, let's go back to the front. Sorry if this makes you a little bit sick, but it's really hard to stay close where you can see, stay in the frame, and manipulate all this tulle and stuff. So I'm going to put another pin here. That's one of the nice things about working with cloth. Pins are your friends. And then I'm going to fold this piece again the best I can. It's, you know, it's tulle and it's got to look roughly, so if it's not all tight and together, that's perfectly fine. And I'm going to take another pin and put right there, and then you can see, oops, if I stay in frame, that it's pretty much butted together in the back, and it makes a collar in the front, which can either be collar and shirt when I'm done, or it can all be like a, I don't know if that's a jabot collar at the end. Let me get back to the back here, and I will take the thread and needle from the original basting stitch that pulled my line together, and now I'm going to start sewing this to the doll. So I'm just going to do this in like a, let's see, this is the end over here on this side, and this is the other end. This is where my thread stopped and I pulled it from, and this is the original end where I put my knot. So what I really want to do is to ensure that I catch it. I'm going to do a few stitches here. I am going to attempt to do a few stitches here, and I'm going to attempt to do it so you can see what I'm doing. I think this is where I'm going to wish I got a thimble out to start with. But here I've got it coming through, and I'll use a pair of pliers sometimes. I don't have a pair right here with me, but sometimes it's easier to pull these threads, pull the needles out of this fabric when you're picking up. There. Now what I need to do is really not break this thread, because what I'm doing at this point, and I'm going to do a knot. This is called a tailor's knot. You wrap the thread around that needle 3 times. It also makes a French knot, but it's a tailor's knot in that you can pull this down and it makes a very healthy knot. Of course, there it goes. So now that's all knotted down. And I think I can take this pin out, and it's going to stay. I might be able to take all the pins out. Let's see. Let's take a chance. I'm going to stick her needle in her back. And I'm going to go through and find the rest of the needles, the pins rather, that I have holding this collar down. And I'm going to pull them out. That one wasn't good. I'm going to take that one out. And I think that was it. Yeah. Okay, so by ruching and tacking it in the back, I now have the start of a collar. And because I haven't sewn it down, it still moves. So now I have the option of, like I said, making this collar or making it part of her outfit. And I haven't really decided what I'm going to do yet. Plus, I also have the option, because I've only caught this in the back, this actually moves around, and these pleats will become bigger or smaller depending on how I move them. Okay, and there's the needle and the thread. Oops, there's the needle and the thread, and I did knot it so it's not going to come undone, but that's her collar. Now what I really need to do is determine what fabrics I would use. So let me get a few things together and I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit about the fabrics that I'm going to use to cover this witch. Be right back. Well, I found some striped fabric, and for this demonstration, I guess, I'm just making tubes. I'm showing you how simple a simple doll would be. So I found this striped fabric, and it is a knit, so it has stretch. Well, it has stretch in one direction. So when I sewed this, I selected to do it where it would give me the most give going across my doll. So I sewed a big tube, and it's open on the end. So I put it on her, kind of like a sock. So there's the base of her body. And then I took and I sewed 2 more tubes together, and these will be sleeves for over her arms. The only thing that I need to do is I need to cut the extra off, because when I sewed the tube I sewed in and left myself some room. So let me just cut the bulk off and the extra threads. Now the ends are not hemmed and not even. I'll take care of that with some hem sewing at the end, maybe cover it with some gathered lace at the edges, you know, however I determined to do that. So I did put the right side in, so now I'm just turning it so the right side will be on the outside for the doll. Let me do the other sleeve quickly too. Now this is all pretty rough. This is not how to make a really technical doll. This is how to make kind of a very simple doll that I think anyone could make. And it's sewing tubes, basting stitches, however you can get it done to do it. Okay, so I have a tube, and each of these tubes has 1 seam. I've turned this one right side out while I was talking to you. That's how simple this can be. So if I pick her arm up, this part could be a little tricky, is actually stuffing the stuffed arm into the sleeve. She does have a thumb, so I've got to get that thumb to go inside. And I could have balled it up like putting on an infant sock, which also helps, but now her hand is down far enough towards the end that I could grab a hold of it. I'm being careful to keep that seam on the inside. Okay, so now this is up her arm, and I'm pulling it a little short, but that's okay because, like I said, I can put any kind of trim down here that even goes onto her hand a little bit, and it will all be okay. And as you can see, it doesn't really interfere with the jointing of the doll. It's just a piece of fabric. It goes almost up to her shoulder, which is also okay because this will also be covered. I'll put the other one on. This time I will gather it kind of like a sock. I will get her hand up. I've got the thumb facing up so that as I put the seam in, it's on the inside of the arm, similar to the other one. And I get that all over the hand and the little thumb. And I reach inside and grab the hand. And I continue to just pull it up. And that's how easy it is. You just think unfolding this fabric and keeping it from folding in on itself is the hardest part. There we go. So now she has the basis to her costume on. Pull that down just a tad. Twist her arm a little. Much easier to dress a doll than it is to dress a child. I will say that. So anyway, so now I've got her this far. And it's pretty much just tacking everything together at this point with a little bit of hand sewing and some stitches. And considering what else I want to do for her, because I'm thinking that a vest might be kind of cool. And some more trim. And I think if I do a vest, I have this black shiny fabric, which would make good vest material. But I also have some other fabric that I bought at Joann's. Got the cat one. But it's kind of, this one has cats on it. And then I have another one that has dogs on it. And like I said, this is just from Joann's. And this one's more of a navy blue, whereas the cat one is a black. So I'm not sure what I want to do as far as a vest goes. But I think before I determine her vest, I may finish stitching this and put her hair on her so I can see exactly what kind of witch she is, whether she's even a print fabric witch or if she is a solid fabric witch. Let me make some of those decisions and I'll be back. Okay, I'm back. It's another day. I've got the body fabric, the, I guess, inside outfit material sewn on where it's kind of up underneath the collar, and the arms look like they're attached, the fabric. So now what I need to do is I need to make a vest. And generally I can wrap fabric and it looks okay, but I thought I would show you my down and dirty way of creating a pattern, because I've decided that I'm going to use felt for her vest, because I have this black felt that has these nice silvery shiny hearts on it. And I also have some purple sparkly felt, and I have some greeny plain felt. And I thought those might be kind of interesting to make her vest out of. And as you can see, I'm playing around with needle felting for her hair. This is Cotswold lamb fleece, and it's kind of a teal green, but I thought that made kind of a cute accent. And I haven't needle felted in a long time. This is called a felting needle, and it has little tiny barbs on the end of this needle that are very sharp. And you have to seriously watch your fingers, because if you jab that into your hand, it hurts a lot. So what I'm going to be doing with her hair, if I can find enough stuff that I want to make it with, is needle felting at least a perimeter, and then I'll cover the rest of it with a witch's hat So let me put my felting needle down. And this is just a piece of cardstock that I'm going to kind of do a rough estimate for a vest on. So all I'm going to do is give myself probably a good inch outside the body. You can see my pencil kind of moving down here at the bottom of the screen. That's where I will give her well, actually I have to also take into account the width. So as far as it goes, I'm going to need pretty much most of this, because then I'll take 2 pieces of felt and actually sew a vest together. So I will probably give her allowance for a shoulder. And of course this pencil's not going to work, so I will use my broad tip marker instead and try not to get it on my doll. So maybe I'll give her a shoulder there, and the bottom of her arm comes down. I'll mark where the bottom of her arm comes down. Let's see if I can push this out where you can see it. So I have a mark here for the bottom, for under her arm, and I put a mark there for her shoulder. And I need the same thing on the other side. So really what I want to mark is just so I know that I can come back through with a ruler and know where I want the vest for the wool felt to fall. Let me figure out this pattern and kind of draw it in. When I cut it out, I will use my paper crafting scissors. I don't use the same scissors for fabric that I use for paper, because paper dulls scissors terribly. And anybody who sews learns that the hard way generally. My family knows not to touch my good scissors. My paper crafting scissors are one thing. My good fabric scissors are quite another. Alright, so I'll be right back. Okay, thanks. That was pretty quick. So what I did was I just found the center. I used my red pen guidelines to a certain degree. Found the center. And what I do is, these are shoulder straps. This is about where the arm is going to come in. And then I cut a curve to account for the neck. And then when I open it up, I have like this little vest pattern. And then I take my dowel back. This is really scientific and technical. And then what I do is I just fit it around to know that 2 pieces, if I cut 2, a front and a back, that the shoulders are high enough, that the armholes come in far enough, that they won't pull when I try to get it over the arms, and that when I bring it up on the side, I will have enough room on each. Now when I cut the felt, I will cut it a little bit bigger than this pattern, just because felt has no give, and I want it to kind of be loose, because I still don't know what I'm going to do as far as the bottom to this doll goes, and I want to be able to cover any connection. Okay, so let me get the switch out of the way, and let me pull some of this fleece back, or not fleece, I'm sorry, felt, and figure out which direction I want it to go. And this looks pretty good. So what I will do is, I don't believe, let's see, there's just not enough here to do both on one, so I do have to use 2. And this is just regular card making cardstock, like you buy from Walmart's or Michael's or Joann's. I'm going to make sure I have it pretty even. And let's see. I'm going to give myself Let me see if I can move this out. I'm going to give myself about, I don't know, maybe somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch on the sides. And as you can, this pattern takes up most of this felt from top to bottom. So I'm just going to leave the top and the bottom the way it is. I may put a couple of pins here just to hold it in place and get my piece of fuzz out of the way. And maybe put a pin down here. I tell you, poking yourself with pins hurts. Okay, and then all I'm going to do, let me get my pinking shears, and we will cut this out. For this side, I'm going to leave the extra room. Now, I won't be sewing around the armholes because this is felt and it won't fray. But I am using pinking shears because it will give it a decorative edge for anything I don't sew. And I'm just going to cut straight up there. The sides of the vest will be sewn, so it doesn't matter that one side's going to be pinked and one's not. I'm going to allow the same amount of space on the other side of the pattern. And I'm just going to cut. I think I'm running out of memory card, so I'm going to have to stop and either replace my battery or my SD card. But you get the gist. I'm just cutting. Okay, well, I had to replace my SD card. I think what I'm going to do is move on to another video because this one's getting pretty long. I'm going to attach the vest at the top, figure out if I need all this fabric in the front. I will probably, if I don't, I will cut it down, maybe make a shape. I don't know. But anyway, I will come back and show you the completed vest and then attach it to my witch. And maybe we'll move into attaching hair and making a hat. Doll making is a long process. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe if you enjoy this. I'm trying to finish this project so I can move on to making some cards. All right, have a good day.